I wonder if you call.
Maybe she was the one that gave him the inspiration for this look. And he's just been ripping her off ever since.
Wait, were you engaged before Mr. Browning?
No.
It was close.
Not quite.
That's what someone said, and I was like, I don't know.
He might tell the story that way. I don't know.
He always
Because we talked about marriage. We had dated like 6 years, so we dated a long time before.
And you're like,
Mr.
peace out.
Browning, you said he was just 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. So we'll go through the questions you guys have. We'll start with number 15 on page 293.
Every time I look at him, Maddie's always sending me Snapchats. It's okay, now you're telling Lola fake rumors about me.
Okay. So number 15. Oh, 15 is just not realizing like it's an easier problem than it looks like. So so this is the first number 15. It's the cube root of 81 over the cube root of 9.
Oh, wait. I kind of feel like
No, it's okay. We can talk about it anyway. Because I know, like, I think somebody else and I were talking about it as well. Since, like, just like we can pull cube roots apart, or square roots, or cube roots, whatever it happens to be, we can also put them back together. So I can make this the cube root of 81 over 9. Since they're both cube roots, I can put them all underneath the same root. So then 81 over 9 is just 3, or sorry, is 9. And then cube root means I want groups of 3, and I can't break that up anymore. So this is just it. So anytime it's the same root, you can either take them apart or put them back together depending on what's helpful. So let's go to number 40 next in the same section. This is one of the FOIL problems.
Let's hear you.
Yeah. Alright, so I was going to say Abby pushed me down.
Okay, so first outer, inner, last. Now, when I'm multiplying these together, I can multiply the square roots together. So this will be square root of 50 together, plus the square root of 30, minus the square root of 30, because 6 times 5, and then minus the square root of 18. Now the square root of 30s will cancel because they're the same. Then I have the square root of 50. I'm going to simplify that because it can be simplified as 25 and 2. So this will be 5 square roots of 2. I can simplify the square root of 18 as 9 and 2. So this is going to be minus 3 square roots of 2. And now I have like radicals. So these radicals are the same, square root of 2, square root of 2, so I just subtract the numbers in the front. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So that would be our final answer in that case. So next, 42. Okay. So in this case, we're distributing that square root of a in. Now, since they're both square roots, I can put them together. So this will be the square root of ab plus the square root of a times a, which is a squared, and then b. So I can put those all together. But now this can't be broken up. A and b are just square root of a and b. But But then this one, the square root of a squared is just going to be a. And then this is the square root of b. So I can pull that a out. It's 2 over 2, which is just 1. So this would be our final answer here. So those aren't like terms, so I can't combine them. But we did get to take that a out of that square root. It's kind of a strange one that way, but then 55, it looks like next to 55.
55.
And then 56.
6.
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure it was on the same page. So this is all still in that same first section. Square root of 6 over 5 plus the square root of 3.
And then 57 comes next. And then 58. And 59.
So this is our next one. We have to rationalize the denominator, which means I can't have this radical in the denominator anymore. So I have to multiply what we call the conjugate. So I'm going to do 5 minus the square root of 3. Sorry, that should be a minus sign there. I'm going to do that the same thing to the top. So on the top, I have to distribute this in. So this is going to be 5 square roots of 6 minus the square root of 18. We'll deal with that in a little bit here. On the bottom, we're going to have 5 times 5, which is 25. 5 times the negative square root of 3. And then this will be a negative square root of 9. Now again, since it's a conjugate, we can cancel those middle two terms.
Hang on.
Now the bottom becomes 25 minus 3, which is going to be 22. The top is going to be 5 square roots of 6, but this can be simplified. I can break it up as square root of 9, square root of 2. So 5 square roots of 6 minus 3 square roots of 2. So kind of icky final answer, but that's it.
Oh, there goes Mary.
Oh, Maddie, can I give you the notes for today?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
She's like, no. I don't even want
Wait, are you coming back at all? You sure?
it. Why would she come back? There's only an hour left of school.
Come on, have fun.
Kenzie, you don't have to be rude to people all the time.
Says you. Don't. No, I don't even want to. Stop.
Okay, so now this case again, we want to get rid of the radical in the denominator. So we're going to multiply by the conjugate of the bottom. So this is the one I'm worried about getting rid of. So I use the opposite of the bottom. But whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top as well. So even though you're multiplying it by itself, it's still have to do that. So up on the top, so I foiled out probably pretty quickly, so take a minute to kind of see where everything went there. The bottom, and there are a lot of similarities here, but please don't cancel until the very end. Sorry, that should be minus the square root of 36. Okay, so again, don't start canceling up and down. We can cancel this way. So those two are the same. So the top up here, it's square root of 2 square roots of 6 and 2 square roots of 6. It's going to be 4 square roots of 6. This is going to be a positive 6. We'll be able to combine those in a little bit here. On the bottom, I'm going to have 4 and then minus 6. So on the top here, I have 10 plus 4 square roots of 6. Whoops.
You said 6, so then you
10 plus 4 square roots of 6?
Yeah, 10 plus 4 square roots of 6. There we go. All over negative 2. Now this is the one last step. You might have stopped here. The issue is that all three of these can be both be divided by a -2. So we want to simplify that. So 10 divided by a -2 is a -5. 4 divided by a -2 is a -2. So this would be the simplified version of that. So if you stopped at that first one, you're super close to the answer. You just need to go one step further. Okay? So we are trying to be moving on to the next section. That was like the world's longest section.
That's what I was going to say.
A lot of days to get through that. And we are just doing the second half of this chapter 5. So I think we actually only have today and tomorrow new notes, and then we'll probably get ready for a test. It's probably going to be more like a quiz in terms of points, because it's not as much. So it'll probably be the 15th for our test.
Oh. It's always right before Christmas. And I just feel the most stress.
Speaking of
We weren't even friends. We were friends, but like, we weren't. Well, that's Christmas.
Yeah. Kind of.
We
Last
talked, we were in the
Christmas.
same class.
We're
Nearly as good.
That's probably true.
This
Not quite as
Christmas, I might give it something proud, but she'll probably tear it up and stomp on it and then throw it in a fire because she's mean.
That is not hilarious though.
I'm just, you know what today is, Caitlin? Riley Matthews' birthday. December 8th.
Okay guys, we can take a minute to work on the warm-up.
Okay.
I'll fix our Kahoot a little bit.
No, you should put questions we don't know how to do. That might be how you can beat Kinsey.
Alright, take a minute to look at the warm-up. I'll be back with the board here.
Shoot. I messed up. Kinsey. What day was it? When did George wake up? When did George Michael die? He died on Christmas.
That's so sad.
He killed him on Christmas. I thought it was at school. Oh wait, no, Stan Lee was at school.
I was at my
He died on Christmas. I didn't even know I was on Christmas.
So weird things are big muscles weird
I'm scared of that.
Okay, that's honestly mine too. And she's like, that's not good enough. Oh, shoot. Why do you say it so weird?
You cannot distribute that squared into the parentheses.
Well, that's what I did.
So, what do we have to do instead?
You have to put 2.
Yeah, so we have to write it twice.
Oh my gosh. I need to cheat off Kenzie, I guess. I mean.
So, we have to write that twice, and so now we can do first order, inner, last. If you just distribute the squared in, you're going to miss those middle 2 terms. So these middle 2 terms should not cancel in this case because these aren't conjugates. So we do end up with that middle term. Okay? So that's important just to recall as we go through problems. Some of the ones we're going to be doing today, you might have to use that squared. So we want to make sure we understand that we have to multiply it twice. So we're going to be solving radical equations today. So we're basically solving equations that have the square roots in them, or cube roots, or fourth roots, or different types of roots. So just a reminder that when I want to get rid of a square root, we can square it. If I want to get rid of a cube root, what do I need to do?
You cube it.
Cube it. So these all kind of cancel one another. However, if I want to do that in a problem, if I square one side of the equal sign, just like I would in any equation, if I do something to one side, I have to do it to the other. So we have to be careful that we remember that rule. So for solving radicals, we're going to start off by isolating the radicals. So think of it as putting the radicals on 2 separate sides of the equations if there's more than one. So if there's just one, that one can be alone by itself on one side. Or if there's 2, we want them separated like they are here. So the radicals should be isolated first. Then we want to get rid of, I guess I'm going to write like what that could look like. So it could be like a radical equals a radical, or like a radical equals like a number. So it could just be like a whole number or variable or something like that. So we want to get rid of those radicals. So how do I get rid of a square root? Square it. So we're going to square each side. So we're going to raise each side to the same power.
Square root equals hashtag. What? I am.
So raise each side to the same exponent. Whatever exponent is going to undo our root, we're going to use that power. So since this is a square root, we're going to square each side. So I can square each side here. And that'll cancel that square root out. So far this seems like super easy. Now we don't have any square roots anymore. So like it seems really obvious.
What's the catch?
Yeah, what's the catch? So we're going to solve our new equation. So we're going to solve this new equation. What do you guys want to move?
The 6.
Move 6. I would probably move the x first, but I'd move this negative x over. But
Yeah.
just because I never know which way to move it otherwise with the other numbers. So x and x would be 2x. Now I'll move the 6, but I just like kind of making sure the x's are on the right side or the correct side. So I'm going to move this 6 over.
Hey, no.
And then I'm going to divide by 2.
Wait. Oh, I did it wrong.
So x ends up being 3. Now, everything seems really well and good, and like this is the answer every single time, it's always going to work. Now, when we have these square roots, sometimes some kind of fishy things happen with square roots. So what we have to do, this last step is super important with square roots, is we have to check for what they call extraneous solutions. So it's like fake solutions that look real. So it's like fake news. So you guys understand that better than others. So,
Everything you read on the internet is true.
right. So we're going to check for what these are called extraneous solutions. So basically what we're going to do is check our answer. Because sometimes the answer that seems like it should work for this problem doesn't. So that just happens with square roots, that when we square each side, kind of some weird hocus pocus happens that sometimes it just doesn't work out. So we're going to check this, and I'll tell you guys a lot of them will work. It's not like every answer is going to be extraneous. So we're going to check x equals 3. And what I mean by that is we're just putting it back in. So the square root of 12 minus 3, does that equal the square root of 3 plus 6? Does the square root of 9 equals the square root of 9?
Yes.
Yes, this works. So we checked it. So this has to happen on every problem with these square roots. This one works. So far this is not so bad, but remembering to check for those extraneous solutions is really important.
I feel like if there's still a right catch.
Well, some of them get tougher than just these, but let's look at example 2. So now this one only has a single square root. Remember, we still want to isolate that square root. So what do you want to do?
Subtract 8.
I move that 8 away. So we want to get the square root alone. So I'm going to move this 8 over. So this is 2 minus 8, which is a negative 6. Now what do I want to do? Square. So I'm going to square each side. So I'm going to square this one, but I'm also going to square that negative 6. Careful, when you square a negative, what happens to it? It becomes positive. So this will be 36 over here. And this will be this x plus 1. Oh, goodness. All right. So now we're ready to get answer. Let's get this alone. Move the 1 over. So x ends up being 35. So looks like everything's good. We're going to put that answer back in the original problem. So put this back in up here.
Oh no.
All right. So when you go to put that one in, 35 plus 1 is 36. 8 plus the square root of 36 is not 2. It's 8 plus 6 does not equal 2.
14.
No, this is 24, but okay. So this does not work. So this is considered an extraneous solution. Oh, that should be 6. Sorry, you're right. Sorry, Abby was right. I made fun of her.
Yeah, I was like, isn't 8 plus 6?
I took 30 square root of 36 to be 16, making up new things as I go. I knew it wasn't right. It's just
So is there just no solution? Or
so yeah, there's no solution for this one because the only answer that we got was extraneous. So this one actually just doesn't work. But that could never happen for a problem. Like, it's just not possible to get an answer. So that's what makes this tougher. Part of what makes this tougher is that we have to check for those extraneous solutions.
Instead of writing no solution, you can just write extraneous.
Yeah, I do want to see that you did that so you weren't a good guesser and figured, well, there has to be like an extraneous one somewhere here, so this has got to be it. So I do want you to show that you solved it and crossed it out or something so that I know you were getting the gist of this. All right, so the next one, what do you guys want to do first?
Subtract 1.
Yep, so let's get that squared alone. I get that 1 away first. So this is 14 over here. Now what? Yeah, that 2 is not the square root. That's 2 times the square root. So we're going to divide by 2. So that'll be 7. So now we want to square each side. 7 squared squared is going to be 49.
You said 29. I was like, what's she?
Yeah, I'm not even, yeah. And then we're going to solve. So x ends up being 15. Now again, don't trust it. Could be fake news. Got to test it. Put it into Snopes. Is that one of the?
Yeah.
A lot of times when I try to look things up to see if it's like real, like I find an article and then I'm like, I don't really feel like reading this. So then I just like, I'm just gonna assume it's like not real or assume it is or whatever I want it to be. So this is gonna be 45 plus 4 in here. So this would be 2 square roots of 49 plus 1 should equal 15. Sorry, I'm running out of space there. So 2 times 7 plus 1 should equal 15. 14 plus 1 equals 15, so this works out. We checked it.
Kinsey, did you hear the good news? It works.
Yeah, right.
All right, we're going to do one more and then we'll break. So flip it over. This is the one that'll make you mad at me. There's not going to be many like this on our homework. Actually, I should probably check to see if there's any, but I don't know. We can work through it. And then we'll wait on 5 and 6. Okay. There's not, it's not a coincidence that there's a lot of space here. So I apologize ahead of time. But I just want to show you guys that sometimes it's not as straightforward as that you just get to square each side. So a reminder that we want to move the square roots, like we want to isolate them. So I want to get these two apart from one another. So I'm going to move whatever one I want. I'm just going to move this one over to the other side. Kind of got to move as a unit there. Now, on the right side, I can't put those two together because one's a radicals, one's not. So I'm just going to write it like this. So I have the two radicals separated. Now, how do I get rid of them? Square them. So I'm going to square this side. But what happens when I square the right side? Kind of. You have to actually put parentheses around it and square the whole thing. So this is why we are doing the warm-up we did. To remind you that I can't just square them individually, I actually have to FOIL them. So this is going to be x plus 10 over here. So that's nice. That side is good. But on this right side, I'm going to have to actually FOIL. Oops. I have to FOIL correctly though. So on the right side, we're going to do first outer, inner, last. Like I said, we'll get through this one, then we'll take a break. Kahoot break. Yes.
You're welcome, Kinsey.
So first, an outer. We get 64. And then this 8 times this negative x plus 6. And I get the same thing here. Now those don't get to cancel. Those aren't conjugates. Again, kind of like the warm-up, like Kinsey said, well, that stinks. It really does in this case, where it's not very nice. Plus negative, negative.
Positive.
Yeah, negative, negative is positive. Square root of x plus 6 times the square root of x plus 6 becomes just x plus 6 because it's the square root of x plus 6 squared. So this is just going to be x plus 6. We got a lot going on here. So I'm going to put these two together, and then I'm also going to put those two together right now. So the 64 and 6 is going to be 70. these two is going to be a negative 16 x plus 6, square root of x plus 6. And then there's still that x hanging out down there. It's actually something good that can happen now if you can see it. What's that? Yeah, if you subtract the x, what happens with them? They cancel. If I take those x's to bring them together, they cancel out. So those x's are gone, which is helpful. Now at this point, we want to get that square root alone. So we're kind of back to that. So what should we do now?
Multiply by 16.
Subtract 70.
Yeah, try to get that 70 away. The opposite of what Garrett said. Sorry. 16 is being multiplied, so now we want to undo the 16. So rather than the multiply, we want to divide by a negative 16. Multiply, divide, tomato, tomato. Is this a decimal? Sweet. How lucky are we? So it's 3.75 positive.
I mean, that's not that bad of a
No,
decimal.
it could be worse. All right, now what do we need to do? We have to square each side. Square, square.
Whoa.
No, 3.75 squared is not the nicest number in the world. Oh, yikes.
Yes.
14.0625. That's going to equal x plus 6. So then to get the x alone, now I'm going to give you guys a heads up. I would not bother to check your answer on this one. I'm just going to go with it. It's good. So this one would be a big pain to check your answer, but yeah, I mean, there's always a risk that it doesn't work, but yeah. Okay, so we can take a Kahoot break. You'll probably want scratch paper or a calculator or whiteboard or something like that, or all those things. Let me just make sure my Kahoot is what I just got to make sure the numbers are good on it.
I did.
There's a pop quiz. The worst quiz ever. Want me to ask her? You think she'd be like, she'd have
Ah, never mind.
What?
Middle.
I'll pick it up later. Go pick it up. You can pick it up if you're so worried about it. Hey Ryan, can you pick those light boards up off the ground? Kinsey, I bet you jealous of my computer game.
I was like, it's not bad, but it's not good. It's like they're not the same person. So, except my wife is like, really parties, so I can keep it.
Did you hear that? It sounds like a bird kissing you.
Everything's overrated. You guys are really kind of lot.
You have 10 seconds to do that?
Until next is a good year.
Okay, guys. So let's talk about it. So we're gonna square each side at this point because the square root is already isolated. When I square this side, the square root cancels. So if I square this, that's not working, and I square this will be just m over 5, and this will equal 25 over here. So then I multiply by 5 to the other side to get that to be 25 times 5. So it'll end up being 125. And it should work because of the fact that 125 over 5 should be 25, and then square root is 5.
We're giving you on the bottom.
You're actually fourth.
Making me root against you.
Why? You don't like that, man?
Easy.
Dude, that was so easy. So easy. I was honestly the easiest part of my life. Shoot. I think I did it wrong.
I knew it was one of those two, but I didn't want to.
Oh! Dude, I can't do Oh, let's go! I thought I got
Okay,
it
guys.
wrong.
Yeah.
So we move this 6 over, and this becomes 3. You have to square each side. So this becomes 9 over here. And then you have to multiply this 6 times 9.
That's right.
Would it be okay if I put that a little bit up there because I never.
Yeah. Or you can move yourself up too.
You have to suffer.
It's just the screen, if I go further away, I'm afraid they will
Do you
see.
toilet?
It's Abby.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Gosh, you think you just know everything over there?
Oh, you got the whole school.
I think they're. Did you just look at what I put? You so
I didn't. No, I
I
didn't.
know.
Wait.
That was that mark. Here,
I'm
I'm
so
so.
I have to double check with you.
You probably like
Hey, Kinsey, I got it.
absolute bomb.
Yeah, so guys, this one you move the 2 over, so it's 9. You square it, you'll get 81. And then you have to move the 90 over, so it's going to end up being a negative 9. So that's why it changes to a positive because of that negative b.
Negative B.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play.
Oh, Ryan.
Well, have fun and do it.
Mr. Punchy.
It's Someone's favorite joke.
Oh, confused. Got me up.
Right.
Yeah, Laura, good job. Did you know who that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, that was easy.
What is it?
Piece of cake. I'll tell you if I get more. That's 100%. 100%.
Sounds like something Kinsey listens to in the shower.
That's not true. Okay guys, so this one you need to square each side. The square roots will drop off. Then you have to move this negative v over. That'll be a 2v. You move the 5 back over. That's going to be 28. So you divide by 2, you get 14, and it does work. 14 minus 5 is 9. 23 minus 14 is also 9 squared to 9 squared to 9. Both 3.
Yeah, second. Don't stop me.
Oh, we didn't talk about this. How do you think you undo those cube roots?
You just give it to
Cube
us.
them. You cube them.
Just give it to me.
Just cube them. So then they cancel out. You cube each of them. So drop off the roots. Focus on this one underneath.
I literally clicked it 40 seconds after you.
Alright, yep, so you just cube each side. Basically you just lose the roots and you just set them equal.
Knock the third.
You're a genius. Jack, I did not take your answer.
Wow, we all got it right.
Good work.
Kinsey has an anti-streak of 7.
Oh,
Princess.
imagine not even knowing this.
I don't even know this.
Don't got it.
It's blue.
It's peppermint.
Peppermint.
Jack said,
Yeah.
I got this. I don't know how I was.
you actually got.
So funny,
I think
Here's my prediction.
Ooh, this one might be tricky. Oh, I thought I deleted this one off of there.
Well, I guess not.
Might separate the men from the boys.
Whoa.
this one's easy.
Really?
This one's really a piece of cake.
The men from the boys.
Dude, thank. How nice that it's a good trade. I need my cup.
Why?
I mean, you know, so we're not going this.
Alright.
Let's
So
Yes.
Let's go.
let's talk about this one. So you square each side, and this x becomes squared. So this actually becomes like a quadratic to solve. So I don't know if you guys all actually got it or got lucky.
I guess.
It becomes. Why is this not working?
I'm just gonna ask two B's.
I don't know why it's not drawing. I have to be a little fashioned. Yeah, I know. But then the people online can't see.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. So it's gonna be x squared equals 20 minus x. This 5, ooh, and positive 4.
That was a fire drill.
Yeah.
Calm down.
And then the negative 5 does not work. So if the next one's like that, I might just skip it and go to the
Yeah, good idea.
last question.
People watching online.
Oh, please, just sit.
Oh yeah, we're gonna skip it.
Oh no! I can figure it out.
We're gonna skip the next one too. I thought I changed this quiz and then. Oh, you guys can do this one.
Oh, she almost
You
skipped.
said we're gonna skip it, so I wanted to see if I could get it right before you skipped it. Hopefully, I could get it right.
Oh. I think I didn't class that was quick blue.
I already got it. Did you?
The other one?
I just randomly picked one.
No, that's definitely weird.
No, it's not.
I think it's right. And I think I calculated it.
Nick said he thinks it's red, so I hope red.
No, red. No.
It has to be red.
It's not red. No.
That is. Nope. Not.
No. It's actually purple.
I feel like the last question's gonna be something about Wreck-It Ralph. Who wants to bet?
Oh, what the heck?
Dude,
Ryan, no. Hang up the phone.
This is the wrong time in class, sorry.
Pick up the phone during class. Hang up.
4 o'clock maybe? Yep, goodbye.
Who was that?
I was waiting for calling for my application.
Why didn't you just let it go to voicemail?
Because I had my voicemail box set up.
wait, do you get the job?
Because now you just sounded like a jerk because you were in the middle of class answering your phone.
Attention.
Did you get the job?
Hopefully.
Wait, so you're going in for an interview at 4 o'clock?
No, that's when I'm going to call back.
Oh my gosh. Ryan, I'm not hopeful for your job anymore.
Right, let me know if you get it. Okay? I'll visit you. I'll come visit you.
Oh, did you get that last question?
Yeah, well, that's fine.
I'll come back. Do you have it written down stuff?
No.
Oh.
I put it back up, but I did not.
Hey, good thing I think it's green.
Dude, let go of my leg. Let go of my leg. You got it wrong. You got it wrong.
First place!
Do we all?
Awesome effort.
Out tomorrow.
Boom. Pee in toilet. That was me.
No, it wasn't.
If your name is not on the screen, you're going to need to bring your phone over here.
Oh.
Show me.
I'm going to stay today.
Yeah, sure.
Bring your phone.
Alright, let me know if you get the job.
Are you going to get your trophy? What? Participation. Not for this part, but yeah. Dude, I'm going to
Right, on your stream when I'm watching you, you have to tell me if you got that.
Well, I gotta go in for an interview.
So good.
You did? You already interviewed? You already interviewed?
No. I guess there's
I'll visit you.
So they're kind of telling you to set up an
You got water.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
The interviews are over the phone.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to get free
I did.
Yes, 20% discount.
Okay.
Hey, participation trophies.
Yes.
They get
mean?
Right, you didn't win, but you can still have a piece of candy.
Over here.
I feel like if we
Oh my
win, we
goodness.
think so.
Whoa.
What are you going to do?
Let's got coffee.
Hey.
This is the one I'm getting a question on, right?
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I guess.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, never mind. I know what it is.
You subtract wrong?
No, I didn't square the 9.
That was it. Okay. Alright. So let's move on. Let's move on to example 5.
Shut up,
So now
dude.
she has regular candy.
This is my sweetie.
Participation represents
Yeah. Candy. Yeah.
You need to participate.
Better didn't even participate.
I did participate.
Mention
I got
not
it
getting
the last
first.
question. I can't find the game plan.
Really filthy.
No, I was actually in 17.
Oh, my dad got my car back.
Who took my pencil?
I don't have to drive the minivan.
Take your water, too.
Bro, that's my pencil. Wait, no, it's not my pencil. I don't know where my pencil went.
Oh my.
Gosh, we're mess. Okay.
Oh, I found it.
So guys, for example 5 and 6, just showing that even though the radical is not like a square root, it could be a cube root, it could be different types of roots, we still isolate the radical. So we're going to move this 2 away. And so this is going to be a negative 5 over here. So how do I get rid of that cube root? Cube it. So I'm going to raise each side to the 3rd power. So that'll cancel over here. So it'll be 6u minus 5.
That's such a gross thing.
So negative 5 to the 3rd power is,
1.709.
no, negative 5 to the 3rd power. I think you're taking the cube root.
Negative 145.
Yeah.
God, Kinsey, that was so easy.
Shut up.
She got one question wrong. Now
calculator.
she's, yeah,
Isn't it?
right?
I put 45. I thought this was easy.
No. So now we need to get the u alone. So don't answer the phone when you're in class.
I'm not. It's from.
Sorry, it was important.
It's from Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
And Miss
Maybe it's Donald Trump.
He's calling from Canada.
I thought it was a bot.
Well, that was, I didn't know what that was, and then everyone's looking at Ryan.
My phone's gone off in class before.
I know, but you shouldn't answer it. It's rude, and you're in class, and so there's just, I mean, this is right now, this is the most.
I was like, on the window, like, where's Kyle?
Oh, I know, yeah, I was like the same thing. I was like, why am I hearing like howling? Like,
I thought our room was Woolers.
or animal calls.
I mean, it wasn't better than my
I've literally never heard him speak.
It's very chatty today.
Yeah. What's going on?
Wait, Leonard, what did you say you were looking for?
Kyle.
Coyotes.
Okay, so, okay guys, and then example 6. Why is this one in this section?
So you want to give us a challenge every day.
Why is this one even showing up in this section?
Yeah. Because it's
I don't know. I don't remember how it's. It'll turn into a radical.
Technically, it's a radical, right?
It's so easy.
The 1/4 power is really, remember, like x to the 1/4 is the same thing as the cube root of x, or the 4th root of x, sorry. So this is really just a radical. It's just another way to write it. So I'm still going to isolate it. So I'm going to isolate just the part being raised to the power. So what do you guys want to move?
2y plus 1.
No. Probably everything but that.
13.
Yeah, let's move the 13.
I mean, he says something really smart, and then like the next room.
He's right.
I've done this whole class today. You guys have been chatting about whatever you guys chat about.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good comeback. Alright, we move the 5 over.
I'm sick of it.
Sorry.
You're honestly just
Quick
So,
class.
it's on algebra 2, 3/4 of the way. Alright,
Maybe he quits.
so how do we get rid of that 1/4?
multiply by 4.
Do the like the radical.
So really,
Square root by 4.
okay, so this is really the same thing as the fourth root of 2y plus 1. So how do I get rid of it?
You do the
4
lower
roots.
root of 2y.
It's not a root anymore though. What?
4 cubed.
4 key.
4 exponent power.
Okay, yes, there we go. So what's going on here is this is essentially what we have.
Yeah.
To get rid of that fourth root, and I think you guys all knew what you were saying, you just weren't using the right words. You want to be raising to the fourth power. But also, you don't even have to think of it this way. If I raise this to the fourth power, what do I do with those exponents?
They cancel.
They cancel. But I have to do that to the other side as well. So these cancel, so I get 2y plus 1, and that equals 3 to the fourth power, which is
81.
81.
Yeah, that's right. I knew that.
Okay.
Read
Of
that
course,
here.
Kenzie.
40.
Shut up.
What's that?
40.
40. Yes, so then we move this over.
Absolute monster.
Divide by 2. And so yes, we do end up with 40.
Who got that?
Nick. Okay, that was like 10 minutes ago.
Wow, Nick, you're
Alright.
so smart.
Yes, Pete.
Smarter than you.
What's that?
Probably.
So yeah, we should still be checking these. I got a little lazy with checking them. So we should still be putting it back in. So for time's sake, I was not.
Dude. Check right now.
Basketball.
Dude, check. You want to go?
Basketball.
Oh, my.